Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spin Rack. This is Mars here, and I'm here with my boys Cal and Petey. Say what's up, gents.
Hey, what's going on?
Yo, ready to rock.
Cal, this is gonna be down your line. Hey, it's Superman. They want to make Superman a centerpiece to DC. They want to bring a character who's been a little, how can I say, dusty and polish him off. They want to bring him to the forefront,
Dusty.
dusty,
How about,
forgotten,
how about
on the
ignored?
shelf,
Ignored. There you go. Ignored.
on the shelf, ignored, and now they want to bring him back. And why do they want to do that? So, okay, can you break it down for us, at least in English?
Where do you want me to start?
Start is why they need to do
Well,
this.
do you guys want to hear from David Laslav
Let's yeah,
himself?
Yeah.
let's hear yeah, let's hear
Oh,
from David
so
Zaslav.
David
Start us off.
Zaslav, the
Oh,
CEO of Warner Brothers, the guy who took it over from Discovery, he's the big cheese. He's the one who makes all the ultimate decisions, and he's the one who went with James Gunn and the whole shebang.
and we have British Mars talking for us.
This is all part of a bold 10-year plan. The DC vision is clear, the momentum is real, and I couldn't be more excited for what's ahead. David Zaslav. 3 years ago, I hired James Gunn and Peter Saran to reimagine and unify the creative direction of DC under one leadership team by breathing new life and excitement into one of the most iconic storytelling franchises in the world. James and Peter's commitment to honoring the legacy of the DC universe while forging something new and enthralling is inspired. I remember my first meeting with James 3 years ago. He spoke about growing up in Missouri and how the characters of the DC universe weren't just stories to him, they were like his family. His personal bond with these DC heroes was powerful, and I knew then that James was the right person to bring them to life. His love for the DC world runs deep, and it shines in every frame of his work. This weekend, we watched Superman soar as James Gunn's passion and vision came to life on the big screen. Superman is just the first step. Over the next year alone, DC Studios will introduce the films Supergirl and Clayface in theaters and the series Lanterns on HBO Max, all part of a bold 10-year plan. The DC vision is clear, the momentum is real, and I couldn't be more excited for what's ahead.
Now, Cal, tell us what's going on with the comics with David. What did he tell them? What did he talk to them about? How did he put the smackdown in the DC comic book universe?
Well, he went, and I get a little bit of this from Mars, but pretty much they were saying, look, we could just pump the numbers up of one of these characters, say about 10%. That would really, be a good increase for us. That would be really good. Do we have a character we could do that with? They all scratched around and was like, oh yeah, we got this guy called Superman. He was like, are you kidding me? You mean we're not selling this dude? Why are we selling him? Oh, well, we got Batman. He's like, no, no, no. We should be selling this guy. It was like, it's Superman. You're telling me we can't sell him? He's like, this is totally egregious. Get off your ass and sell Superman. And so we got some Superman.
So there we go. And how many? We mentioned in another thing, but how many Superman titles did we get?
Right now, Superman and Superman related titles with the inclusion of Superman Unlimited and Superman Book of L, 7 titles altogether.
Now, I know people like to turn around and decide to jump in the pool for 2 seconds with Superman, but that seems like a strong effort for the character, at least in my mind, rather than what they've been doing in the past. So,
Well, they did the right thing. They started off with the main 2 titles, Action and Superman. And Superman got rebooted with the number one. They had to do it after Brian Michael Bendis. They had to do it. So they did that, but uh, they had Joshua Williamson on Superman and Philip Kennedy Johnson on Action, and they both started off well, and they have turned in solid storytelling, okay, and they've kept Superman's numbers healthy. DC then did the right thing by having series or storylines that bled over, like with the House of Brainiac and other things that led back to the Superman titles, like with Absolute with Absolute Power. So he's crossing over more. Then they gave him a better role in terms of Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. And then they started unveiling, okay, let's bring out some more series in conjunction with the film. as opposed to, hey, we don't really need to do an extra Superman title since a movie's coming out. We got the other two. Let's just hope that increases those. So they put out a couple of more titles there. So now you got the seven titles in total. Okay. And you've got the cross pollination with the other things that are going on, like DCKO. According to Scott Snyder, and again, I always have to see exactly how this unfolds, but he said that Dark Knight's Metal was a Batman story, Dark Knight's Death Metal was a Wonder Woman story, and he's like, so DCKO was really like a Superman story. So I'm like, okay, let's see how this unfolds. But they're actually paying some attention to a character that is proven to be a good seller for them if you actually pay some attention to him. Now, the scary thing is that if you don't pay any attention to Superman, he will still make money for you. Superman's numbers are to the point that they've pretty much ignored him for years, and still his numbers were like, okay, we know that if the average amount of sales on a comic book are 50, 60,000, we can pretty much get average sales on him without even trying. So let's just put all the money into Batman. Okay, so we can definitely get more return over there, and him we don't have to worry about because he's just going to get his regardless of what we do. We're not going to try to increase the numbers by 10%, which, when you think about it, it's just malpractice. That it took the head of Warner Brothers to say, what are you people doing? This is ridiculous. This doesn't make any sense that you can't sell Superman. It's Superman after all. But that's where it stands right now. So you've got healthy sales. You're doing additional titles. I don't know if Superman Unlimited is going to be an ongoing. I know that House of L is going to be 12 issues and out. I hope that'll be the same thing for Superman Unlimited, as Dan Slott is showing. He's showing his limitations pretty early for Superman Unlimited, but it's a lot more exposure. It's very positive. It's good. The numbers are good too. Oh, almost forgot. Marzo definitely like this one. Absolute Superman in the top 10
Top
10
five.
selling comic books.
Top five.
Top 5. I'm shocked because Wonder Woman is the book that I thought would be up there. She's the Eisner winner and all, and I thought she had the better premise in terms of story. So now when I'm seeing top 5, Absolute Superman, really? Maybe I should start stop collecting the issues to read them like 5 or 6 at a time and see what's going on monthly. But this is positive attention, and it's like I said to you guys, this is like having you have full ownership of Spider-Man and the X-Men, and you can only sell one of them. It's malpractice. You should not have a problem selling those two characters. You should not have a problem selling Batman or Superman.
No, and I think you kind of undercut it, Kyle, because I'll tell you right now, and when I go to the comic stores, they have Superman titles front and center. In fact, Midtown Comics has a whole display where they have graphic novels of Superman titles, like not absolute, like Superman. What is it? Superman for All Seasons, I think it is. They have what else? Not Kingdom Come, but they have Superman, All Star Superman. They have the Girl of Tomorrow. You have Superman, not Superman, Smashes the Clan. Superman for All Seasons. They have Death of Superman, and these are selling more than they've done in the past. And when you take a look at numbers for like the again, I'm just using ICV2 as an example of graphic novels that are selling. You have Superman, Absolute Superman #1 is selling. They have All Star Superman is selling. You have Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow selling. So these are just titles of Superman that are just, and this is just the top 20. I guarantee there are even more when you start looking at the list of Superman titles that are actually selling for these reprints, if in the top 50, because they've really done a really good job of pushing and say, hey, these are stories that you should be reading because they'll be related to the to what you are going to be watching on TV. They should have the Wolfman comic, right? Right, Petey? I don't know if they have a graphic novel of that.
That's all split into. They have a Wolfman beforehand. They had the Wolfman beforehand, but no one. That's not the point of the other video was that no one is even mentioning there's any little connection to Wolfman. No one wants to remember that. So if they want to connect to the books they're already selling, like Superman for All Seasons and obviously All Star Superman, which of course are big sellers for them. So it's like buy these and then buy Superman. What was it, Up in the Air? Which I don't think, in my mind, I didn't see much that directly related to it, but it's I think kind of the Superman kind of the character himself and him helping people. That's what they're kind of saying. This is what it looks like. But the story, like that sort of subject matter of him going against evil despot, that was kind of what Marvel definitely wanted to do, which no one wants to say. So, but they want to, keep that as far away from it. It's like, yeah, they're not dealing with that no more. You just it happened beforehand, and the Justice team took care of it. We're not, we don't want to make anyone think of anything different. So, in my
I
opinion.
mean, that's you're right. That could definitely be it too. But hey, you called it. I'm just saying that whether or not they want to agree with it, you called it, and so they should definitely throw. You know, wait, but they do have it. They have Man and Superman Deluxe Edition, the graphic novel.
Yeah,
That's the
has anyone said that new thing that Marvel did?
no.
He's gotten some press. He's been at the cons. They giving him respect, and there's no disrespect to Marvel. It's just saying, like are you? It's just funny to him. You say, you have something that's a product that's doing well, but at the same time you have books that you need to sell, that you want to sell, which are your big sellers, which everyone's going to do. So that's the smart way. I was just saying, maybe you give Marv a nod.
Yeah,
It's like,
and that's a good thing, I think.
so you're
But
the
this,
only one who did. You're the only video that asked him about directly asked him the creation of Luthor that I can find outside of in print. There's a ton of it in print during the time. Nobody's asked Marv about the Luthor thing, even though it's been done in what's that thing? The New Adventures of Lois and Clark, Smallville. I think he was more. Was he a businessman in Smallville? I didn't watch enough to tell you.
yes, he was.
So then, like that, all these other things, you have him as a businessman, and not Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman. So it's like, would someone turn to Marvin and say, "Hey," and that's what you turned to him and said, "Hey." So like, at least for that, if you're not going to bring up the stuff of, because they're using with Baraver and whatnot, at least for Luthor. So that was the key. That's the main part. So.
Yeah. And they're also bringing out classic Superman, like the classic Action Comics stories. They're reprinting some of those, so which is good. And I also see people talking once again about or implying some about who's faster, the Flash or Superman. So the very fact that you have
Man,
all of these things happening, it bodes well for the mythos of Superman that people are starting to read and listen and try some of this stuff. I even heard someone talk about War World, with Superman. I was like, what? Who the hell?
Petey,
Huh?
Petey, can you bring something up on screen for me?
Do you have it? Yeah, if you send it to me, yeah.
All right, give me a minute.
Yeah. Keep going, Mars.
Superman and War World, but I mean, there's so many other books like the Frank John, the Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, Superman Brainiac that was really really popular at one point. To help to redefine Brainiac as a villain of Superman. But yeah, I'm all for it, bro. I'm all for anything that pushes people to read comics or the characters, get the new characters involved. I think nowadays a lot of artists and writers are like, hey, I want to write the next character that's going to make me a star, $1 million, right? And of course that's always the goal, but probably the first goal is to write a good story, right? To do good art.
Well, that said, I think when like with Superman, it felt like some people would step into the pool and they would promote it, but at the same time, like really, I mean, obviously Bendis is one who definitely tried to step in the pool in a big way to be there for a while, and then the contracts just roll out. But I feel like was it Scott Snyder doing his thing was just kind of too short. It was like, I'm hot. Let's do Jim Lee's like, can you do Superman with me? Yeah. Oh, we ran out of interest issue. Now let's get out of here. We made our money. Let's leave. Let's run out of here. So I think with the head, that's why it's interesting to hear. And Cal was saying that Zaslav was saying, "Hey, why aren't you guys doing it?" It's like a no-brainer because so much in comic books is built on, hey, we just know, like I think when all the titles that became Marvel's mainstay in the Marvel universe weren't selling, like Avengers, Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, they were just like, it's doing well on the newsstand. These are top numbers on the newsstand, and then they're the DC. Well, DC Marvel has always had people, the bigger names, bigger than Shooter, bigger than Stan Lee, that come around and say, yeah, this needs to go. So it's good to hear one of the bigger guys isn't saying cancel Superman. He's saying give me more, give me some Superman that sells. Like, work it out. So hold on, let me see what this is.
Sent it.
I'm looking at. Hold on for a second. See if I can grab this. Keep going, Mars, while I'm grabbing this thing.
Keep going, Cal, while he's grabbing that stuff.
What am I going with?
Well, you're talking about Superman.
We hadn't stopped.
Well,
You know,
Oh, this is a new
the image that I sent, I think, is a good example of what you're supposed to do to try to market this character. One of the biggest, I mean, Death of Superman is his biggest storyline. And I don't really think there's another character you could have done it with. There is no other character that you could have done it with. But they have successfully been able to market Death of Superman since it happened. So it wasn't a flash of in the pan type of storyline where it came, it ballooned, it popped, and that was the end of it. They have been able to successfully market this when it happened, absolute trade, and it always sells. The omnibuses have been, I think they're on the 4th printing, and every time it comes into printing, it sells out. And I know because I own 4 of them, but I'm always surprised. I was like, okay, this thing consistently sells out, which means there is always a healthy appetite for this particular storyline, but they know how to market right over there. I'm like, okay, so why don't you do that with the other stuff? And most recently, they did that with Absolute Death of Superman, because they've done the Absolute versions before, and they do some, they'll do some art with the slipcase, and they finally understood, like, oh yeah, he actually died, so why don't we actually try something a little bit different with the slipcase? So those are the images I sent. As soon as he brings them up, you'll get a chance to see them.
Okay,
But just like doing things that actually lend to his character, and not to get too bogged down in, if Superman is the embodiment of hope in the DC universe, then I would say that Batman is the embodiment of will. But they don't get so bogged down in Batman being the embodiment of will that they can't tell a whole bunch of other types of stories with him. And finally, they're doing that sort of stuff with Superman, where he doesn't, I mean, sometimes he would be on the Justice League and all he would ever do is just like make a speech. And that was it. And I was like, that's all he's going to do? He's just going to make a speech? I was like, there's a bunch of stuff this guy can do. But then the writers tend to be in this position where, like, oh man, well, if I have Superman cut loose, what are the rest of these guys going to do? And I understand. I totally get that. But it doesn't make any sense for him to be there just to make a speech and to, kind of give everybody a good pep talk. And then we'll just see him fly off and we don't see anything else again. So the last 3 years have been pretty good for marketing, branding, and really trying to get stuff out that lends to where Superman's popular, or rather where Superman is, well, I'll stick with popular, where Superman's popular and where you can continue to draw eyes towards him, really marketed well, because they did this Absolute Death of Superman and there was really no reason for it. It's not like really like an anniversary. They had just done an omnibus not too long ago, but because of the packaging, you'll get a really good understanding of what it is that these guys are up to.
All right, I'm just about to got it. I'm just downloading it. And
okay.
Let's go here and stop share.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to me with the Death of Superman because I didn't think it was that great of a story. I'm going to tell you the truth, right? Compared to around the same time we had Batman, and I'm sorry to say, Cal, the
What
Nightfall
you say?
story.
Nightfall?
Yeah, with Bane, that was
Both
off
of
the
them were
chain.
like, hey, cash grabs, but keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm not denying it. I think it
Nightfall was
is.
directly influenced by Death of Superman.
I'm not saying it wasn't. All I'm just saying, I thought it was a better written story
You've got to be kidding me.
compared to this abomination. Come on, man.
So wait a second. Let's get to this slipcase.
But that's a whole nother issue. I'm just saying I've never understood why Death of Superman was such. I mean, I understand, yes, culturally, Superman is such a huge thing versus the Batman where he still lives. You know, he doesn't actually die, but he's totally wrecked. But it's such a seminal point of view in the Batman story. And I don't mean to be hijacking the Superman, but the very fact that you have the fact that, you know, he really starts expanding the Bat family since then. And this is a story that people bring back every once in a while and talk about, and brings back probably one of the most iconic villains in Bane. Whereas the what's the name who defeats Superman sucks. No one really considers him a really good character.
Who
You know,
sucks?
it's just the whole purpose is his character
Doomsday
development.
sucks?
Huh?
Doomsday? Are you saying Doomsday sucks?
Yeah, Doomsday sucks. He's putz. He's a putz. That's what he is. That's what he. Let's call it what it is. He was just created just to do that. But Bane has gone and evolved to become a true Batman villain. I mean, do you see Doomsday anywhere else? No. That's my point.
How
Yeah.
many
You know,
Death of Supermans
He's
have
currently
they
in the
done?
he's currently in the comics right now.
How many Death of Supermans have they done?
Oh, no, wait. Hold on. Yeah, I want to see that look on his face again. Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah, Doomsday's currently in the comics right now, and he has evolved. He's actually currently the Time Trapper.
the what?
The Time Trapper.
Yeah, you asked for evolution, you got it.
Yeah, talk about evolution there.
What you got to say now?
You know, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But everybody knows. Bane's still around.
So
Bane's
wait
still
a second,
around.
we got this slipcase here. I finally got it up.
Oh, that's nice. That's sweet. When did you
got
get
the
that?
other? You got the other image too?
Yeah. That has a script. Is that the script for which one?
Well, it's the you got the absolute death of Superman there, and I think I'm not sure what the supplement is,
Mhm.
but it's sold out. It hasn't been released yet. It's not coming out till November, but it's sold out everywhere.
Man.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it. It's like, hey, I mean, put it like this. I'm going to display this at a Superman site that I moderate, and I'm very sure when I show the image, a whole bunch of people will be like, "Oh man, when did that come out?" I didn't because there's Superman. Supposedly, these guys are Superman fans and readers, but they're really just fans, and they would rather like purchase a Superman towel than a comic book most of the time. These guys, came in '86. It was Superman, Action Comics, Adventures of Superman, Man of Steel, Man of Tomorrow. They read all that type of stuff, and once Jeff Loeb came on, they're like, "Oh, look, I'm Silver Age," and they left. So they don't really buy anymore, but they still like the character, and they still like, they'll watch, what they like, and they might reminisce and such, but they're not collectors. But when you do stuff like this, okay, these guys will come out and be like, "Oh, wait a minute, I would love to own that." Look at definitely look at the detail, craftsmanship, everything that goes into it. It's definitely thinking in terms of, it was the death of Superman. Why not a tombstone? Perfect. Only fortunately, it's sold out. But this also creates like the whole, well, next time I'm going to pay attention in case something like this happens again. You want people to be invested. You want them to be looking.
It's good. I think it's
Where's
good.
the Nightfall slipcase?
Yo, Petey, you know what you can jump off of, right? You know what I'm saying?
No, but think about that. If you were to do Nightfall, I don't think they've ever done. I don't know if they've done a Nightfall omnibus. I think the storyline is actually somehow longer.
Yeah, it is. You have the Nightfall. I think it's Night Quest.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's one more story.
Night's End.
Night's End. Yeah. And so I don't know. Let me take a look and see if there's an omnibus.
It's definitely omnibus. I'm saying like a recollection like this.
Have they done an omnibus? I know they've done like two, because usually every time I see this, like in 3 trade paperbacks, because the story's that big. I don't know if they've ever done an omnibus. I've never seen one.
Yep. Batman Nightfall omnibus, new edition.
Is it just one omnibus or two?
Actually, they have 3. It says they have the Nightfall omnibus 1, then they have the Nightfall omnibus 2.
And those are omnibuses like hardcover or trades?
Hardcover. I think I have the trade for that. They have all 3. They have the Nightfall one omnibus, and they have the Nightfall omnibus, and they have the Nightfall omnibus 2, and then volume 3, Nightfall omnibus 3. I don't know if that's Night Quest at the second one they have it, but that's what they call it, Nightfall 1. They call it Nightfall volume 1, 2, and 3. So they have to like put all three stories in it because Nightfall Omnibus 1, then they had Shadow of the Bat, then Vengeance of the Bane, Detective Comics, that's Showcase. I don't know. See, I'm totally confused now. I'm not sure what they did.
Okay, this is recent. That's why this is 2023. I don't know if they had any because before I never saw anything hardcover. Every time it was always a trade paperback, and it was always three book. It was always 3 books long. But then, of course, I actually and I enjoyed the Nightfall storyline. I read the first one solid. Second one I was kind of in and out, and the last one I came in at the tail end just to see how it would be resolved. But I would ask the same question. Okay, you're gonna do absolute. Well, what's the slipcase you're gonna do? You're gonna have like like a broken spine or something? What are you gonna do?
Oh, that's disgusting, bro. That's disgusting. You know, like P would say, yo, you can't say things like that.
Al in there, but how do you make that into a comic? Since everyone was, changing into Batman, so you had, what's his name, Ezreal, and then you had what's the name? You had the cow, but I don't know if that makes for a good slipcase.
No, look. I'm not denying the death of Superman has been marketed extremely well. Superman is a cultural icon. This has never happened to him. And so I think that yes, it deservedly when I mean it made what? Didn't it make the Times? Um,
No, I got a bid for that though.
but I'm saying it made the cover of newspapers. So that shows you how important it was when this happened. I mean, the Batman Nightfall stuff. Oh, he broke his back and he's no, but Superman dying, no, that was like, yo, that was a whole nother level of stuff. So yeah, I give them credit to. I just when I read the story, I just was like, oh man, it's not what I expected. And probably is just, you know, buyer's remorse years later.
If you imagine DC Comics wasn't into promoting the stuff, so when you see the news catch wind of Death of Superman, Man of Steel, any of that stuff that the news caught, the news had a slow day, and they're like,
Yep.
"What's going on over here?" Because
No, I think no, you got
oh,
you
what's the name?
undercovered.
That's what the creators said. The creators and Miller had issue with it that they weren't going out and they weren't handing to the retailers. Here's like 4 or 5 pages of the Dark Knight to sell them on it to them to promote it or try to find other venues to go. And they were like, DC was notoriously not promoting the things outside of maybe putting an ad in another comic book where they're like, you got a marketing team, go out there and market it. And they're like, no. And they didn't, some of those, they didn't expect the Dark Knight, they didn't expect to do well. Or, was it the Shadow that Shaken did? But all of anything you see where you see a big media thing, it's just a slow day in the news. And they're like, they're killing Superman. And then at the same time, they didn't pick up, I think they didn't, I don't think they picked up Batman, but
DC didn't market for Superman 78. Okay. DC didn't market, for Superman 78, which was a big hit. So I'm not surprised they didn't do too much over here. But I think the funnier thing is when they realized, oh my goodness, we got all this media attention. It's hot. We're a hit. But what do we do? You mean we actually got to do something? Yes, we got to do something.
because I mean, it was the unlikely person talking about both Miller and Byrne was Steve Gerber, who was the Howard the Duck writer. He was like they're not doing any kind of promotion for these books, and they're selling, and then they'll be patting themselves on the back afterwards. We did it, guys. The closest is the killing Robin, which they put a phone thing in the comic books, which was a comic book media thing, but it came a buzz afterwards when the news found out, wait a second, they killed our Robin. They killed Robin who's in the TV show, and they're like, oh, we got to bring him back. So
Yeah, I guess that's so is there anything else you guys want to put add to this? Or we've covered it all.
we covered it. We've got some buzz going on, and a part of their 10-year plan, Superman's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Yep,
I
it
mean,
sure is.
another good thing, I don't want to prolong this, but seeing that the Superman sequel to Superman 2025 will be out in 2027, that's less than 2 years. It really does show that they're committed to trying to, actually, at the very least, let's get the 10%. Let's
You
get,
got,
let's get
Stop
10%.
it! Stop it!
Cal. You shouldn't have said that. I don't know if that's a good idea at all.
I think that's a totally good idea. I'm totally with you. You got a successful film,
Yeah,
follow it up.
why would you wait? Why would you wait like 3, 4 years to the point where either, circumstances change, you got another, God forbid, you got another pandemic or something, and now you can't capitalize on it. And I mean, look at a film like Aquaman that did $1 billion. Okay, it did $1 billion. We know that movie should have never done $1 billion, but it did, and they took so long to capitalize on it. I think people realized, what? How much money? No, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
So that's not what you want. You have a film, people like it, and across the board, when I spoke with people, everybody I spoke with liked this film. They may have had issues, piece, here and there, but overall, they liked the film. And so, since you have that goodwill, you had good media attention for it, you had good reviews, you have good audience reaction. You should not be waiting 3 years to get this film out. You should be trying to get this film out and executing it correctly as fast as possible. I mean, what was the wait time between Superman and Superman 2? 1978, 1981. So, relatively within the same amount of time, even though we know that Superman 1 and 2 pretty much filmed back to back. But hey, if you're going and you're strong right now, go for it. The only other thing I would say is, hey, if you can get the cartoon to fall in line more with the comics and the movie, I would be happy, because that outfit they put him in is so terrible. It's horrible. I don't know who okayed it either. I was like, I don't know why you guys did this. Put him in the back in the other suit. This is stupid.
That's not what point I'm trying to make, guys. In 2027, they're releasing Avengers: Secret Wars, right?
Unless they
2026 they're
push it back
releasing.
again.
In 2026 they're releasing Doomsday. I'm just afraid that they may no. Look at what they did. Look at what Marvel did, where they intentionally undercut Superman by dropping Fantastic Four. Can we agree they did that on purpose?
Yeah. Right now, is there a date? Is there a date for either of those movies? Because Superman is
Yes,
July 7th.
July 7th. So Doomsday is December 18th, and Secret Wars is December 17th.
All right.
20.
So plenty of
So
time. Almost 6 months of difference.
there should be. Well, that's what they have. They said they want to do 2 movies a year. So we're not sure if it's just going to be those 2 movies or they're going to drop something else. Marvel's, they bad like that, bro. They have a couple of movies that they said that's supposed to be those are the guaranteed Phase 6 movies, but they've been also talking about a Black Panther 3 Phase 6 movie and a possible X-Men Phase 6 movie that could happen around then too. But I mean, it'll be quick. They're all quote unquote in development. I wouldn't even say Blade, but we know that's done for. That's not happening anytime soon. So it's very possible they could come out with something else, but we don't know. Another movie that they just haven't locked in yet. So I just don't want to have this whole thing where Superman. I think it's what you guys are right. I think it's good that he's coming out in 2 years later. I think it takes too long. But what did he say? The script got to be right. So if the script is right, we're not going to just greenlight like what happened to Mission Impossible, where they greenlight 2 movies based on what happened in the previously no script, and so the second movie didn't do it.
Starting again, aren't you? You're starting again.
I don't think that was the case. I mean, Mission Impossible, they were going to come out with the movie. That was going to happen. And it's not, it's going to be greenlit. It's like, okay, what's the story? And it
What's
shouldn't
the
be,
story?
I think there's a big difference between, say, it's one of these like book, like one of these book sequels where you did the first book, it did well, people liked it, and then you're like, all right, well, let's do the next book, and you're not really thinking about, hey, how do we keep this going? There's a big difference between, say, like Percy Jackson and the Lord of the Rings, and the big difference was not that one book was necessarily better than the other, but the execution of the films.
Could be, could be. All right, So hey, let's wrap this up. Anybody further thoughts, comments? None. All right. Hey, comment, subscribe if you like what you hear. Give us a thumbs up. Spin a rack.
Yep, out.
Out.